Esport ekranına hoş geldiniz. Turkish Airlines Euroleague'de oldukça keyifli bir sezon geçiriyoruz. İki takımımız da playoff'a kaldı ve bu playoff'lar öncesinde Anadolu Efes cephesinde röportajdayız. Larkin'le birlikteyiz. Tabii ki bu sezonun öyküsünü ondan dinleyeceğiz. Çünkü tüm inişleriyle çıkışlarıyla aslında zor ama nihayetinde harika bir normal sezonu sonlandırmış olduk. Shane, thank you so much for your time. This is the best mood I have seen you in a long time, though.
Definitely. It's been a long 2 years. Injuries, coaching changes, player changes, not having the success that we had for 4 or 5 years in a row was challenging. But glad to be back in the playoffs. Glad to be playing great basketball at the moment. Long winning streak. I'm in a really good mood at the moment.
For sure, and we are sharing that mood with you too, and it's so nice to be able to catch up and talk about the storyline of the season actually.
Yeah.
Because this storyline had a lot of twists to be said. But I don't know, we will talk about the breaking points of the season for sure, but how would you mention all the ups and downs?
Sitting here now, I would say that it was good for us. We had a young team this year. I think we had the 4th youngest team in the league. And to have to go through adversity, it tests your character. And, we had to go through a lot of different changes this year with injuries, with coaching changes, with rotations, with a lot of different things. But it tested our character. And I think, we proved towards the end of the season that once we came together and once we, went through all those battles, that we came out in a good light. And now I think we're one of the teams that you don't want to see in the playoffs because of all those things that we went through. So it's always challenging when you're going through those moments, but to be sitting here now where we are, I think it definitely made us better, and it was probably a blessing in disguise. So maybe it was necessary.
I mean, the fact that you guys were not able to make it to the playoffs for the last 2 years didn't lower the expectations, though.
Yeah.
You signed a huge contract in the summer, and the expectations of you, once again, was very high, and the team also signed other big contracts with, like Vincent. There is a lot of expectations still always to start the season with. But, there are some things that you cannot control, and one of those things came for you in round 5. Mirotic fell on you to create a, repeat with the injury that you had before the season. So how hard are those moments when you cannot control these situations? It wasn't because of your conditioning. It wasn't because you were taking bad care of yourself.
Yeah.
It was because of that unfortunate moment.
It's difficult. Like you said, it happened to me maybe a month prior in preseason. Same kind of situation happened at practice. And it's just one of those freak accidents that you can't really be too upset at because, it's nothing you can control. But at the same time, you feel a responsibility to be out there with your team, to, be a leader of the team, a captain of the team that can, bring a bunch of new guys together and kind of try to start the season in a positive way. And I feel like this season, it started in preseason, then round 5, and then throughout the whole season, it's just been, constant little injuries here and there where, I haven't been able to be my full healthy self. But another thing that I think is somewhat of a blessing in disguise because when you're out and you're one of the main players of the team, other guys have to step up and other guys have to take on responsibilities that maybe they hadn't had before. And I think this year specifically, I think you saw Elijah Bryant take a huge step in his development and prove that he can be one of those go-to guys, go-to scorers in many different situations. And I think last year, that was one of the things that we needed, that other guy to step up and be able to control games and, be able to win you a game. And I think he's done an unbelievable job at that. And other guys as well throughout the season have stepped up and had big games and big moments. And due to my status here and what I've been able to accomplish over the last, 7 years, I usually have one of those big responsibilities at the end of the games. But when I'm not there, when I'm not available, to have different guys step up and show that they can do it just adds to a team. And like I said, it's obviously nothing that you want to have to deal with. You don't want to have to go through injuries. You don't want to have to miss time. But to be able to see these guys all step up in different ways and now to be better all collectively and individually today, sitting here going into the playoffs, I think is something that really helped our team grow and become who we are now.
And how critical was that injury? Because when some situations like that repeats after itself, then you have to take a little more attention to it, and maybe, as you are getting older, does the way you rehab change or train during the season with the load of the season change?
I would say slightly, yeah. You start, taking care of your body in different ways. You start taking a little bit more time because the risk to re-injure yourself is higher as you get older. But it was, it was just the same exact ankle, the same exact ligaments, the same exact thing that happened 2 times in a row within a, a month span. And, your ankle is one of your most important parts of your body, especially playing basketball, especially the way that I play.
Yeah.
So, you don't want to put yourself at a risk where you may have to miss extended time again. So you want to make sure you're 100% healthy before you, can come back out there. Then getting your legs back, getting your rhythm, getting your endurance back is the next step to that process. But, it's been difficult physically, mentally, but we're back in the playoffs after 2 long years with a chance to win a championship. And, that's why I'm here. That's what I care about. That's all I'm here for. So I'm in a great mood now, so it's all worth it.
Definitely, but you came back after 10 rounds after that injury and won a couple, or actually 3 games at home in a row, and it was a good feeling for sure.
Yep.
But then a couple more losses, and in round 20 we have seen a different coach on the bench.
Yep.
So that was a fast change. But how big of a change was it? Because Tommy was still on this bench.
Yeah, that was a challenging time as well. Because I don't think many people expected it because of all the things that were going on. I had missed a lot of games. Tommy had a great end to the last season. Mm-hmm. We were, not in a bad spot. We were 10-7, 10-9, or something like that when they made the change. So I don't know if many people were expecting it, at least in the locker room. So when the change happened, it was definitely kind of a surprise to us. But at the end of the day, you have to be a professional about it. And, Coach Bonke had a lot of success last year in Bologna. They beat us in the play-in.
Yeah, they took you out.
Yeah, so we knew about him. We knew his coaching style. And he's obviously come in here and done a great job since he's been here. But it was challenging, especially having a lot of guys that are brand new together. You're in a situation where you're trying to learn how to play with one another. And you're trying to figure out how to play within the system. And one of the main guys is out majority of the time. Then he's in and out of the lineup trying to figure it all out with Tommy. And then a new coach comes in and wants to implement new things, different rotations, different plays, different style of play. So it was a lot for a young team. But it all is a testament to our character. And adversity makes you stronger at the end of the day. And Coach Bonke has done a great job of coming in here, creating a structure, creating a system that he holds us to every single day, to a standard. He holds us accountable. And I think for a young team, that's something that's been very important for us to be able to grow and get to where we are now. So you never want to have to go through stuff like that, especially the last 4 years here. It's been coach after coach after coach. But it's been working out well with Coach Bonke, and hopefully we can continue this momentum that we have now and do something special.
It's not easy for any mid-season signing, whether it's a coach or a player, to come in and change things or maybe fit in.
Yeah.
And how is it for the ones that are here before them? So because there's a new player coming, PJ came in 2 rounds after. Yeah. So he needs to find his role too, when everything is going on too. So as a captain, what part do you take in this kind of, gelling in situations?
Yeah, I would just continue to say the same message that I was saying all year. Just control what you can control. We can't control, management decisions. We can't control the minutes that we play as a player. You can only control what you physically can do. And that's whenever the coach calls you, whenever you're out there on the floor, giving 100% your effort and playing for the team and, trying to compete at a high level. And as long as you do that, all the other things will take care of themselves. I've been, preaching all year long that we have all the talent that we need in the locker room. We have an extremely talented group, 1 through 15. We have a lot of guys who can do a lot of different things. So at the end of the day, the most important thing for us is just, being the harder playing team, being the team that wants it more, the team that's going to dive for the loose balls, take the charges, get the offensive rebounds, win the 50-50 balls. And I think if you can hold yourself to that standard at the end of the day, no matter the coaches, the rotations, the, decisions that are being made outside of the locker room, it doesn't really matter as long as that core group of guys has the same ideology when they're out there on the floor. And that's kind of the message that I'm trying to push. And, you know, it's my second year being a captain, so I'm still trying to, you know, grow and get better at that. But I think the message has been received well this year. And I think, you know, we all have grown, and we're getting better day by day.
The process where you keep learning never ends, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You have to keep up about being a captain better and better every year too.
Yep.
Besides basketball too. And I always think that Milano is somewhat cursed when it comes to injuries, and I was kind of worried to watch you get another injury during Milano game. You fell on your elbow and missed a couple games over there too. So this is important to state because you came back just in time, exactly at time. In the last 8 games, you were back.
Like I said, it's been a challenging year, physically, mentally, dealing with all the small injuries. But you know, I've try to stay consistent in the weight room, try to stay consistent with my routines, and, you know, just trying to be available when I can. And, you know, like I said, the other guys stepped up all year and carried a large part of the load. And, you know, me being able to get back healthy enough to be on the floor and be somewhat a version of myself when I'm at my best at the most critical time of the year was, you know, I would say perfect timing. And, you know, I keep saying it, but like you never want to deal with injuries. You know, I wish I was able to play every single game, and you know, I think I missed 11 or 12 games this year, and we finished 6th. You know, if I play all 12 games, you know, who knows where we are? But I can't control that. It's out of my control, those injuries. So, I mean, you can call it perfect timing, but just being able to stay locked in mentally and being able to stay present with the team, even if I'm not playing, and stay in their ears and continue to help them try to grow. So that whenever I was able to offer my services, we were able to kind of hit that winning streak and continue with the momentum. And now we're here with a chance to, you know, go compete for another championship in the playoffs. Obviously, a very challenging road ahead. But I think of any team, you know, that's been playing the last 2 months, you know, we've had 8 playoff games. We've had to win every single one of them to get to where we are. So I think we're battle tested. Mentally, we've been locked in, and you know, now we just got to try to continue that.
Battle tested, that's a word you use a lot, and I really like it because it is actually the fact right now for you guys. But in this last 8-game winning streak, your schedule kind of started easy with Alba and Virtus Bologna. So you had to make a statement on the road. Then comes the Bayern Munich games. How would you mention that? Because that's the season high for you. You did everything you can on both ends of the floor. So what was the mentality like there?
You know, a lot of the times when you go into these pressure situations, you know, I just try to push forward the message that pressure is a privilege. At the end of the day, to be in these situations is what, as professionals, we all should want to be in. You don't want to play in games that don't matter. You want to play in the most intense games, the games that have the most importance, the games that are damn near do or die. And that was one of those games for us. They were playing great at home. And I just try to come out and be aggressive and set the tone for my team. And Roddy did an amazing job of going out there and starting that game the way he did. And because of how he started that game, you know, they had to focus more on him, which opened other things up for everybody else. And, you know, I made my first couple of shots, and whenever that happens, you start feeling good about yourself. You start feeling good. And that was one of those games coming back from all those injuries and stuff where I felt good. I felt more like myself. And my teammates did a great job of putting me in position to get open shots, and it was just one of those nights that you pull through for your team in big moments. And that was, I think, a key part of the season where we really started to believe, like, okay, you know, this is a tough team. They won a lot of games at home, but we can do this. And I think our belief started to really rise at that moment. And I think, you know, from there on, our momentum and our chemistry and our willingness to, you know, be selfless in terms of it doesn't matter who's going to win this game for us today. It doesn't matter if it's my night, PJ's night, Elijah, Roddy, Vince, name every single guy down the road, Darius. It doesn't matter, but you can go down that 8-game winning streak and you can name a different guy in almost every game. Elijah Maccabi, Darius and Partizan. You know, you can, Roddy and Bayern game, you can go through every single game and, you know, name a guy that had an amazing night that kind of carried us in that night. and that's a very dangerous team. So, like I said, it's a blessing in disguise, I think, to have to go through all those struggles that we've had to go through throughout the year, but to be sitting here now with many different ways to win a game, I think it makes us more dangerous.
Definitely. And I think you made a statement there, but you started believing yourself. We have heard about these famous meetings between players before the previous years when the championships were reigning. So did you had a similar kind of situation? Because we have seen coaches changes and a few more changes during the season maybe, but it is obvious that this locker room has been healthy all along with you guys. Your friendship and your communication seems great. So maybe there was a meeting there?
There wasn't necessarily a players meeting, but I just think the communication in the locker room is much improved. I think everybody feels comfortable voicing their opinions. Everybody has an equal voice in terms of voicing what they think is best for the team. And I don't think anybody takes anything negatively, so we can hold each other accountable. And if I say something to, you know, Ridvan, who maybe played 5 minutes in a game against Bayern, versus if I say something to Elijah, who's played 30 minutes a night, you know, it's received the same way. And I think when you have a locker room that is that selfless and that drops all the ego, drops all the pride, and it all just buys into the same program of, we don't care who, what, when, where. As long as we win this game, that's all that matters. I think that's kind of the bond, and that's the chemistry that we have in the locker room at the moment. And I think it's really genuinely like a family atmosphere. And I think that's what's, you know, helped us in a lot of those close games that we maybe had lost in the last few years. You know, I think that's what's helped us win those close games now. So it's a great feeling to be in a locker room like that again, and not to have any strife or any, you know, ego battles or anything like that going on. It's just a really cool, relaxed, family-oriented team that everybody cares about each other. Everybody wants the best for each other, and you know, I think you see that on the floor.
And we can also see the sacrifices everybody is doing for each other. For example, Vince wasn't supposed to play against Baskonia and maybe Maccabi later, and then you weren't supposed to play against Red Star. But on a scale, how sick were you in that game?
Yeah, it was bad. I hadn't touched the ball in 4 or 5 days before that. I hadn't been on the court, hadn't run. I almost missed the flight because I barely could open my eye. I had too much pressure in my head. So it was challenging, and you know, that was probably one of the worst games I've ever played in terms of how I felt. You know, might be too much information, but I threw up at halftime, and I told the doctor, like, yo, go tell the coach, like, if he needs me, I'm ready and I'm available, but I just was in here throwing my guts out. But, you know, then Roddy went down. It's just like, all right, here we go. You know, he started that third quarter really well, and then, you know, the thing happened with his leg, and coach looked at me, he was like, you want to go? And I was like, absolutely. And put me in there, and, you know, was just trying to do anything I could to possibly help the team get a win. And, you know, a lot of guys stepped up in that game and made big plays, and we were able to get another big win. So that's what it's all about. Yeah,
it's sad to see Roddy go down, but it is a good thing that everybody is stepping up at this point. It's going to be important once again against Panathinaikos, because they are the favorites in this series. I mean, when you are the champion of last season, you're for sure going to be the favorites, and you're going to be the underdogs.
Absolutely.
So how do you like the underdog mentality?
I mean, I think it's kind of the identity that we've had all year long. You know, I don't think, you know, many people, based on the things that we had gone through this year, expected us to be here. So to be able to fight back and put ourselves in this position, we kind of had to have that underdog mentality. We've had to have that, you know, going into Partizan, I don't think many people would have expected us to win that game the way we did. Going to Red Star, I don't know if many people expected us to win that game the way we did.
No, I'll be honest.
Bayern,
no.
Yeah, you know, so I think a lot of the season has been that, and I think we've kind of adopted that mentality, and we're fine with it. We know that Panathinaikos is the reigning champs, and whenever you're the reigning champs, you're going to be favored in pretty much any matchup. You know, we've been there before. We've been that team. So we kind of know how they're feeling, what they're going through. We played, well, some of us played for their coach, so we know the messages that he's giving to their team at this moment. But at the end of the day, I think, if anything, the pressure's on them, and I think that's how we should go play. Be relaxed, enjoy this moment. This is a lot of time. This is the first time in the playoffs for, you know, a few of the guys on our team. So it's just like, enjoy this because it's very challenging to get here, but it's the best time of the year. So just play free, play relaxed, focus, lock in, understand the strategy that we're trying to do, and then just go enjoy the moment. And I think if we can do that and have that underdog battle mentality, we have a great chance. We're playing great right now. We have momentum. We have confidence. So the pressure's on them to go defend their title. So we just got to go play free, play relaxed, and see what we can do.
And of course, we have in this last winning streak seen some improvements on the defensive end. Going into the playoffs, that's something we for sure want to see. How would you mention about it? Panathinaikos aren't what they used to be in the defensive end of the game too, but when it comes to playing close games, especially the fourth quarters, this team is also great as you are. So how crucial is it going to be?
Whenever it comes down to two great teams going at it in the playoffs, it's always about the small details. It's about, it may sound cliche, but it's literally about those little details of who's going to take that charge when, you know, Kendrick Nunn is coming down the paint. Because it's not about that one possession. It's about giving him a foul, making him hesitant to drive to the basket. Who's going to dive for that loose ball when, you know, they have one of their energy guys in the game that's going to, you and the other energy guy running to the ball, no matter who it is. It could be me, Vince, Dio, Elijah. The ball's right there. You're here and the other player's here. Who wants that ball more? And that's really what it comes down to in a lot of these playoff games. And they're a very talented team. They have an unbelievable coach, unbelievable players. We have a very talented team, unbelievable players, unbelievable coach. So it's going to come down to those small things. And if we can wrap our minds around being so selfless and playing for one another, we have a great chance. And it's the funnest time. You know, their fans are going to be crazy. You know, they're going to be screaming. They're going to have an unbelievable atmosphere. And, you know, running out there, we're going to get booed. But it's just like, this is what you play for. And it's genuinely the best time of the year. You know, we'll see what we can go do. And it'll be fun.
Depending on the other results of the last couple of weeks, you might have ended up playing against Monaco. But now I'm listening to you and I'm thinking that you like to play against some kind of an atmosphere like Ovako more?
Of course. I mean, no disrespect to Monaco. They're a great team. You know, their fans in the playoffs, I'm sure, will sell out their arena. But, you know, at the end of the day, Monaco's arena is about 5,000, 6,000. And, you know, Oaxaca is going to be 15,000, 16, 17, whatever it is.
Probably 20.
Yeah, 20,000. And they're going to be singing the songs, waving the flags. And just the environment. It's something that you have to enjoy. That's what this game is all about. And you can't let it, you know, affect you because it's just basketball at the end of the day, you know. So I'm excited to go play there. I think it's going to be a great time, a great atmosphere. I'm excited to play in front of those fans. And also, you know, a lot of our guys haven't played in the playoffs here in Ephes either. And, you know, I told them they're going to see a crowd like they haven't seen before here. And it's going to be a great atmosphere here too. So I'm just excited. You know, it's been a long time that I've been in the playoffs, 2 years, 2 long years. But just excited about the moment.
Who do you think is the best big man in the league right now?
I would say Mr. Poirier is the best big man in the league.
Because I'm talking about defense over here. That's why I wanted to mention him. Yeah. And I would prefer, actually, I would guess that you would answer this way. So how Dan and Vince have been crucial in this last part? How would you explain this?
I mean, I genuinely think they're probably the best 1-2 punch at the 5 position in the entire league, because I think they offer differences within their games, but at the same time they provide presence in different ways. You know, Dan is extremely athletic, extremely agile. He can switch, you know, he can hedge out on screens. He can play high above the basket. He can block shots. He can offensive rebound. He's very bouncy. He can shoot the mid-range. You know, he has a lot of things to his game. And Vince, obviously, for the last few years has been, you know, I think undervalued because he's been paired with Tavares, and everybody talks about Sergeant SWAT, and he's deserving of it. But at the same time, if you look at the numbers, like, Vince has played less minutes and have almost the same stats. And I remember talking to Vince this summer when I was trying to convince him to come here, and I was like, yo, I think you're the best big in the league, and I don't think people are giving you that respect because of where you are. I was like, come over here and show everybody exactly what it is. And I think he's done that. I think he provides, you know, that paint presence that if he's around, you're hesitant to go to the basket because you know he's going to try to block it. You know he's going to be there. And I think adding him to our team has provided us with a interior presence that maybe we have been lacking recently in years. And, I think the things that he's provided offensively and defensively for us have, been invaluable and, has proved, he's worth what he signed here for and why we brought him here to be the guy that he is. Mm-hmm. And I'm very happy that he's here, happy that he'll be here with me for a few years. And, I think he's playing at an incredibly high level.
I mean, with Lesor's injury, they are less dominant in the front court for sure.
Yeah.
And they play with a smaller lineup sometimes. Ömer Faruk Yurtseven just came back. He's playing in the fourth quarters mainly, more minutes. But so do you think this can be where you guys are making the difference in the front court?
I mean, yeah, it's, every game is probably going to be different because in the playoffs, teams switch up their strategies game by game. But I think, with Lesor being out, unfortunately, for them, unfortunately for him as a player as well, you never want to see stuff like that. So,
it was a horrible thing to watch.
And I've dealt with something like that early on in my career. So, all hopes for him to come back healthy and strong as soon as possible. But with him not being there, with him being out, it's unfortunate. But I think we definitely have the advantage in the paint with Dan and with Vince. I think we have the better players of the group. In the interior, and that's something that we definitely should focus on trying to implement early on to, have that paint presence. And, they have unbelievable players still. They have Mitolu, Juancho's playing at a high level. So, they still have great players, but I think our size and our ability to, utilize our bigs in different ways can be something that we can use to our advantage. And, we just have to see exactly how the game is going and see where we can use them to better our chances.
I asked you who's the best big in the league right now. I'm going to ask you about your MVP guess.
Well,
will it
I would
be Kendrick Nunn?
Huh?
Will it be Kendrick Nunn? That's what I'm curious about.
I mean, I think Kendrick is definitely one of the top choices. But for me, I think you have to go TJ Shorts, to be honest, especially after what happened last night. I don't think anybody in the beginning of the season could say that Paris was going to be in the playoffs. I don't think anybody last night could say that Paris was going to beat Real Madrid on the road in the playing game to get into the playoffs. And, the way that this guy has been performing all season, if you take him off that Paris team, I don't know if, they're in the same position that they're in right now. Maybe one of their other guards steps up if he is a great young talent. Maudolo is a great player, but the way that he's commanded that team and, taking control of that entire organization. I think I saw a stat the other day that he's produced, 37 to 38 points per game and scoring and assisting, and it's 5 or 6 points higher than the next best player. So to me, I would have to give it to TJ Shorts, just because I think his impact on his individual team is that high. I mean, obviously you can't go wrong with Kendrick Nunn.
Yeah.
Clearly, he's playing at an extremely high level, averaging over 20 points a game. Zinkov also, team finished first place, averaging close to 20. So you can't go wrong with any of those guys. But me personally, if I had to choose, I would say TJ, just because of what he's done with the pieces that he has around him. So
I was kind of fishing for a Kendrick Nunn answer, but I would take this one too because you are totally right.
Yeah.
Though Kendrick Nunn has been crucial in Panathinaikos' last year championship. Right now, in their situation, he's a fourth quarter assassin. And Panathinaikos, they have been great at fourth quarters, and that's what you experienced over there in Oaxaca this year. They came back to finish the job in the fourth to make a big difference. So how will you, for the minutes, control and maintain the situation you have over there?
I mean, obviously they have a very talented team. They have a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things, but Kendrick is the head of the snake. He is the main guy of the team, the main creator, the main scorer, and he's playing at an extremely high level. So not anybody individually is going to be able to say, all right, I got Kendrick and I'm going to stop him. It's just not going to happen. So as a team, we have to utilize the strategies that we put in with Coach Bonke to try to limit his touches, limit his ability to see, the basket freely and try to make everything he gets very difficult. And if we can do that, obviously we can't just solely focus on him because they still have other guys that, you know, can go and make big plays. And, you know, they've had guys who made clutch shots this year, have had big games when maybe Kendrick hasn't had such a great game. But, you know, he's been so consistent this year in the way he scored the ball that, you know, our focus definitely is going to be to take the ball out of his hands and try to make somebody else beat us. So, you know, it's going to be a challenge, but at the end of the day, this is what you play all year for, to be in these moments, to have these challenges. And, you know, it's going to be difficult for us to overcome, but, you know, there's no pressure on us to get it done. We just got to go out there, play free. And the feeling that you have once you do accomplish these moments is the best feeling in basketball. So it'll be fun, it'll be exciting. And now we just got to go out there and see what we can do. I'm
definitely excited about this matchup because I've checked the last 8 games. You are on the court in the fourth quarters for 8 minutes and 21 seconds, and he's on the court for 8 minutes, 15 seconds. So it's going to be for sure that you'll be up against each other quite a lot of times in those critical moments.
Definitely.
And I cannot wait. It's great that you don't have the pressure, and I hope that you stay healthy. And hopefully. That's the priority.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it will all be great. Thank you Shane so much.
Thank you.
Shane Larkin'le birlikteydik. Bu özel röportajımızı burada noktalıyoruz. Hoşçakalın.